All right, next action discussion items, F1 General Services, F1A School Reopening Plans. Dr. McLaughlin, you're muted, sir.
I thought I'd do my whole presentation muted. Yeah, which most people want from a superintendent, right? I want to thank everybody for all the work they did. I'll echo everybody's comments on the textbooks. Good job, everybody. We're at that time with COVID-19 after what's been 7-8 months where we feel like we're getting a lot of things are coming in. We're getting a lot of recommendations from the Alameda County Health Department, which is starting to push districts into that area of reopening. So tonight we wanted to give an update to you on where we at with a lot of elements. You will see from some of the slides where we are at with these, with some of our needs that we need to reopen. And then I'll ask the board at the end of the slides to give a motion on a tentative date to start reopening. Okay, Ms. Moss, can you hit the first slide? All right, so again, oh, there she goes. All right, you can go on to the second one. So again, one thing we started a while back ago is we felt like we needed to have a COVID response team, a team that would meet weekly, sometimes more than once, just to kind of go over all the elements that we thought we were going to need to reopen, looking at the guidelines to reopen, the safety features, the facilities, all these things that we'll talk about later. So I'm on the committee along with Dr. Collins, who, because he represents our facilities and operations department, Dr. Sarina Sanapatin, because she is HR, and Dr. Jessica Banderas, who's also HR, because we need to look at all the elements for the employees, the needs for the safety of the employees, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, our lead of the COVID-19 response is Rocky Medeiros, who has just been a gem to have on our team because he's very thorough and he's really tied into the process of COVID-19 and everything of that sort. So we feel blessed to have him on board, and he's really taken in all the real detailed elements of the COVID-19 movement. Next slide. So these are the factors for us to be ready. Number one, facilities. Okay, we have to look at our facilities. Of course, we'll go into more detail, but you got to have social distancing, how many desks are going to be in each classroom, you know, all those kind of things. And of course, those numbers have changed on a monthly basis. So, you know, that's going to be a big factor. Health practices. The biggest thing that's been out there is will we be able to provide testing, okay, to all of our employees, and whether or not we're going to have to test children, things like that, masks, PPE, all those things. Campus logistics. You know, you just can't open up and have 200 kids come in at once because they're not going to be able to keep the social distance. Imagine a high school of, you know, close to 3,000 kids trying to enter in. So those kind of discussions have been going on. Staff, what is our staff going to need to reopen? The training, you know, what are they going to need to feel safe in an open environment with COVID-19? And of course, our student and families. What kind of reopening plan can we put together for them to come back into in-person learning? And then also, how can we work with the families that still don't feel comfortable coming back to in-person learning? So these are the 5 elements that have been guiding our work. And again, it's not just the COVID-19 team. There's, you know, you got Sanal, Dr. Patel's department, you know, everybody's department's been working on a lot of these elements, but this team has been kind of pulling it all together and building a plan. Next. So one of the things you see is it's called a reopening readiness dashboard. This dashboard, after tonight, will start to go up on our website. It'll be outward facing for the public to see our progress and all the things we feel we need to do to feel like we can reopen to in-person learning. So you can see in facilities, cleaning, we already got that. Supplies, training, we've trained our custodians. All those things have been done. Office, plexiglass has all been installed. The MERV 13 air filters, which is a huge lift because it was back ordered. You know, they're being installed. You see, we are at 75% are completed. We're close to having that done. Sanitizer dispensers, we've ordered them probably 7 months ago, and we're still waiting for some of those pieces to come in. I think we're looking at wall mounts in each classroom. We've got stations everywhere for sanitizer, but we want those individual classroom sets. Health protocol signage, ordering all the different signage we need all around the campuses to make sure that when kids are walking down hallways, they see or they're reminded about make sure you wear your mask, make sure you keep social, all those kind of, you've seen these signs everywhere, everywhere you go, things in the bathroom, hand washing, etc. And of course, spacing, directional markers. We want to make sure we don't have a herd of kids going down the same way and things like that. So, you can see with facilities alone, there are a lot of elements. So we've had to walk sites, really look at each individual, look at rooms, access, look at bathrooms. How they say today, we just had a long discussion on water fountains. Do we close them off? Do we turn off the water? And the funny part is we can't find any advice on whether or not we should allow people to use water fountains. So it's those little details that they look so small, but they can take an hour to dive in and try to figure out. Health practices, as you can see, we've done really good on the health practices. We're completely done with all our health practices. Daily health screening platforms, we got that taken care of. District COVID-19 liaisons, those have been chosen and put out there. Student and staff face coverings. We have the PPE, face masks, enough for all the kids, even if they break them, all those kind of PPEs. Reporting and contact investigating protocols. All those, we're ready. We're ready to rock. And I think the biggest piece was that testing came in from Alameda County Office of Ed was really going to help us, get that moving. School campus logistics. Our injury and illness prevention programs are updated. Our meal plan is put together. Restroom plans, you see 75%. What kind of procedure are we going to go through in allowing kids to go to the bathroom? We're going to have to monitor in the bathroom if they leave. Do they do it before they go in and out? Those are the kind of process we're working through. Arrival and departure procedures. Again, we worked last week walking just through one school and notice how difficult that was to see where do kids come through, and we check them to make sure they went through their protocols at home, to make sure they did their self-assessment. And if they didn't, then where do they go for on-site going through those assessments? So where will those things be on campuses? Some of our campuses are easier than others, but you will see as we go along and in further future updates, you will see that we have diagnosed those different areas they should come in and out. Recess plans, you can see 15%. That's a difficult one because I think some of the guidance we're getting are still unclear on what we can and cannot have in recess. Okay, kids just have to stay in their cohort. I think, can they use the jungle gym? The bars, what can they do? And so these are pieces that we're still gathering information to build a plan. And again, that will also depend on how many kids we're allowing back, right? ACLE approved reopening plans, we're in development on that. Basically, that plan is something we have to submit to the Alameda County Office of Ed so they can say they've got the plan and we're ready to open. That plan is pretty similar to what we filled out when we were going for a waiver. There's just a few extra elements. So we're pretty confident in that. We just want to check a few more boxes before we get that. I could see that one being completed soon. And then site-specific protection plans. So every site will have their own individual plan posted up in front of their school. So you can see where, we got some work to do there on school campus logistics and how we're going to navigate that. But I can tell you we're knocking them out. Staff, substitute staffing for accommodating employees. Yes, we have substitutes in place. So in case somebody's ill, we will have substitutes available. COVID-19 staff training, 75% complete. We actually have a Keenan training that everybody had to do online to go through the COVID-19 training, and we'll also have some more training as we figure out our plans and how students are going to come in and out of class. Labor agreements for blended learning models. That's a big one for us, is coming up with an agreement because our teachers, they absolutely want to be back. They want to see our kids, but they also want to be safe. So we've been working with our labor, our bargaining units for the last 8 months. But there's been so much misinformation or lack of information for a better word. But we're getting close to that, and I want to thank Tom Morris for really working with us hand in hand and trying to make sure we get that going. Employee accommodation process and development and regular COVID-19 testing. Like I said, that for me that falls under health practices, but also under staff to make sure that we can test people appropriately. And then lastly, students and families. On-campus learning family agreement. We have it, it's been created, but we haven't sent it out yet because we want to make sure when we send out that agreement that we know what we're offering on our in-person learning. So that will come as soon as we know what our learning plan will be in elementary, middle, or high school. Family Student Guide to Reopening, that is in development and it should be close to being finished. And then student COVID-19 safety videos, those are in development, because not only do we want to send things home in writing, we want to send home videos for our students to watch and our parents to watch to see what it's going to be like when your student returns to campus. You know, how do you enter the campus? What's going to be expected of you while you're learning in the classroom, et cetera. And of course, our last thing is a family intent to return. So not only are we going to have to figure out soon here how many of our staff members are going to return, we then are going to have to ask our parents who would like to return and who would like to stay home, and then mesh those plans together so we can, see what kind of educational plan we can offer to our parents. So as you can see, this dashboard really covers all the elements we'll need to reopen. This will be going, like I said before, it'll go up on our website and you will see it updated as we go. And I hope that as we get to closer to the next board meeting, November 10th, you will see a lot more of these boxes checked and see how we're progressing forward. Next slide. The big thing is the timeline. So the reason why we're on this meeting tonight and the special meeting is because things are coming close. You know, you got holiday season coming, and if we're gonna shoot for a date to plan to open, the clock's ticking. So right now we're working with our bargaining units, trying to collaborate with them. You see in January, we're looking at a phased reopening. We don't have any specific dates for whether it's elementary, middle, or high school. That'll come soon. And of course, you see that you got the end of the year in June. Next slide. Here's a calendar for you to look at. So January, we were to return on the 4th, okay? And we're looking at phase 1, and then of course, phase 2 starting on the 11th, then you got MLK holiday, phase 3, and then phase 4. We are looking for a tentative return date for in-person learning on the 4th. Okay, tonight I'll be asking the board to give us a motion to set that tentative date. So, as time goes by over the next few months, and as we procure all our PPE and get all those other boxes checked, that you just saw on the dashboard, we have a target date. And this not only helps us at the district, it helps the teachers, it helps the support staff get prepared. Now, that doesn't mean we have to start on the 4th and in person. That date can move if we find that, guess what, we're not ready at that point. We're going to give tons of updates as we move along. Or like I said to the board before, we have to follow Alameda County Office of Health Department's guidelines. So right now we're trending in the right direction with the COVID numbers, but we don't know what those numbers are going to look like as we go through the holiday season and the winter months. So we're going to prepare to reopen, but we're also going to make sure we're ready if we can't reopen. And I can't say enough about our staff for doing a stellar job in distance learning. And that's why, for me, we're doing something right now that's consistent, it's dependable with the distance learning. And so until we're ready, until we got everything in place, there's no reason for us to jump quickly. When we're ready to go, we'll be ready to go. It also gives us time to make sure that these COVID numbers are stable. We want them to be stable, and with everything reopening, you don't know how that goes. And, everybody reads the news, you see how things are going in the United States and also in other countries, where some of the countries that were, they're trending in a right manner are not trending in the right direction right now. So we also got to be cognizant of those other developments throughout the world. So last slide. The next steps, like I said, tonight, we want to set a target date of returning on January 4th. And then like I said, we will also be putting an item on every board meeting that's going to call COVID-19 update. So we will be updating every board meeting. And I said, possibly we will be adding more board meetings because we do want to inform the community on a consistent basis of where we're at and where we're going. But I think our parents need to know that there is a target date. Our staff needs to know there's a target date that we're shooting for. I would say about 90%, 95% of the school districts in Alameda County are shooting for sometime in January, whether it's the 4th or the 12th or whatever. That has kind of been the target for the rest of the school districts, which is important. We want to align with other school districts around San Leandro, because we do have teachers who also have parents in other school districts. And if we open up different dates than other people, then it might throw them off with daycare and things of that sort. So any questions?
Trustee Gonzalez.
Yes, I mean, I like all of the plan. I like the reopening January 4th. My only issue or question is a lot of families, I think, are going to be traveling. Typically they travel, and travel hasn't stopped during the COVID. So is there a way for us to ask for a 14-day period after they return, before they return from traveling, before they come onto our campuses?
Yes, we've looked at that. And at first we were looking at, yeah, that would be great to have this like distance learning just for the first couple weeks of January. And that'll be part of that tentative start date, you know. Yeah, we're concerned about that. A lot of people traveling, but we also didn't want to say, we're not going to start until 2 weeks later, then maybe the vacation extends 2 more weeks. So I think we have to have that target date, but as we start discussing these things over the next, 8 weeks, we'll talk about that quarantine. And that'll also be part of that parent pact that we have to have from them. If you traveled, let us know, then your kid needs to to a quarantine period, especially if they traveled to a country that, had high numbers or had some stuff like that. So those things, yeah, we discussed that, we at first thought, yeah, let's just have a quarantine period. But I think as you see like Berkeley, and I want to say it's Castro Valley, they're not starting until like January 14th,
Yeah.
with in person. So those developments will come, but we just feel like we got to set that earlier. Why not just set that date? The other thing we're looking at too is there's semesters like elementaries, if it may not be a clean transition, that's why when we've been working so hard with SLTA to look at plans and schedules, what stops us is unless we know who's coming, we can't build a plan, to see who's coming back and what that looks like, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. At first I thought, let's do it 2 weeks later, but everyone will return 2 weeks later. And so it won't really,
and I think you're going to hear, it's not confirmed yet, but I think you'll hear later on this week that date that they originally gave us for high schools and secondary schools, which was January, that may be pushed up. And so what does that do to our schedules? So anyway, I mean, the good news is our COVID numbers are trending in the right direction, which gives Alameda Health this ability to say you can open these things, but it's not like we can snap our fingers and just go back to the way we always did it. Okay, we've really got to check all these boxes and make sure we're prepared we want to be prepared for everything. And man, if we get done with Christmas and we get the best present ever and everything's done, wow, wouldn't that be great? But
And then
that's the present I'm looking for.
My last question is, so it's realistic to have all those boxes completed and checked by January 4th. That's realistic.
It's realistic. I think the only thing is if we have some kind of PPE that's so back ordered, we can't do it. Like I said, the biggest concern for a couple months was always the testing. How are we going to test? And people were unsure. The CDC, the state, everybody's like, how many people do we test? Who do we test? How are we going to get the tests? And like I said, I want to thank Karen Monroe for mitigating this contract where now it's going to be at no cost to the district, and we'll have testing at each site we can do, and it's pretty simple, and we can just send it off and get our results. That was a huge thing for superintendents. We're looking at every day going, how are we going to ever do this? And for a while there, you remember 8 months ago we were talking about that we're going to have to temperature check each kid coming in. How are we going to do that? So things have changed, and as we learn about this, things are getting a little easier to open up.
Mackenzie.
Thank you for the presentation. So I guess my first question, this is kind of very specific, but I just thought of it kind of when you were giving your presentation, was for the safety videos that are going to be going home to parents and families, to students and families, especially for the students, are they going to be seeing students doing these social distancing precautions in the videos? Like when you're showing like, oh, people standing apart, is it going to be are you going to bring in a couple students and show it, or is it going to be adults doing it? just because I think maybe if you were able to somehow show it with students, it might resonate better with those students. I know this is very specific, but I just,
No, you're absolutely on the right path. We've been watching other videos from different, mostly private schools, because private schools are moving forward. But yes, we're looking at children doing different, because yeah, they're going to come away with, if they see their peers doing, showing how to wash hands, how to walk down the hallways, then I think it'll hit home a little harder. So yeah, we're looking at all those aspects. We saw one video where they had the mascot doing all this stuff, for the school. So, whatever we can do to make sure that that message, and especially in different languages and things like that, or having subtitles, we want to make sure that our parents understand what they're getting into when the kids come to school. And the kids are, like I said, that's why it's so hard to just open, because we have some training to do. We have a lot of training. So when you say it's a phased reopen, for example, you could say TKK comes in this first week. And all they're doing that first week is learning how to come to school, how they're going to work during the day. Because remember, our teachers are going to have to learn how to work with these different guidelines as well. So there's there's a learning curve that we're going to have to do to this reopening process. So yeah, you're right on, Mackenzie. You're always there. You know what we're thinking. So yeah, I think you'll be pleased when you see the videos.
and then,
Why, do you want to be in one?
I mean, if you're gonna do one for the high school.
There we go.
no.
There we go. All right. Keziah, put her name down.
Yes,
and
please. I
then-
heard that. So get ready for a call, Mackenzie.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess my other question is for the phases, I guess you kind of just said it, but is it going to be like elementary school first, or is there any plan for that yet, or who might
Well,
be going?
Again, like I said, we've, it's last, 2 weeks ago, Readiness come out that we were only going to be able to do elementary. Okay, now we're hearing that the secondary might be able to start a little earlier. So that'll change our planning, right? Is that we were first going, oh, okay, we can only start with the elementary for a while, and then high school is going to take a little longer. We don't know yet. Once we find out what kind of staff's coming back. So for example, how many third grade teachers are coming back? And then how many third grade kids are wanting to come back? High school is going to be difficult because you have such specific topics. Okay, so who can come back, and maybe you only come on campus for 2 classes. Those are the details that we've been actually working on since last June. Okay, thinking about reopening, and then things switched. So we're going to dive into it. Once we know the numbers, we'll dive into it. And then something will come out to you as a student and say, does this work for you? And if it doesn't, then you can choose distance learning for the rest of the year. So.
Okay, so it wouldn't, so for, I guess for that part, would it be like we pick either or could we go back when we just like?
We don't know. It could be a hybrid, or it
Okay.
could be all together. It just depends on, like I said, that's why this meeting is so important tonight. And the motion we're asking for tonight is our first step is to be able to find out which teachers are going to be able to return. And once we know that, we'll be able to get that it's all your questions are our questions as well. Okay. And so
Sorry,
we will.
I'm trying to like ask too much.
No, I know. Hey, you're chomping at the bit. My kids are chomping at the bit. And trust me, all the parents are chomping at the bit. Get these kids out of my house, put them back in school. So we get it, Mackenzie. I understand. But the good thing is, I think your question that you brought up 2 board meetings about maybe being able to do some small clubs and things like that. I have a feeling that might be a possibility here soon, which I thought it wasn't going to be till January.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about an update on that in a little
Yeah.
bit, but yeah.
Well, like I said, the information I heard today is really going to throw everybody for a loop. So we'll wait till it comes out. I don't want to jump it. So. Anything
Okay.
else? Oh, Diane.
Trustee Perella?
Yeah, I'm not muted now, right? Okay. I just wanted to ask, truthfully, I have great confidence in you guys because you always do it right. But I just want to mention that if we make videos showing, how the kids can do and what they have to do and everything, please be sure there's a diversity of kids in the videos.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you will, but I just wanted to mention it.
Yep. We will definitely look at that diversity issue and.
Thank
go
you.
from there. You're welcome.
All right, trustees, based on the superintendent's recommendation, I need a motion for a tentative date of January the 4th for a phased reopening.
I so move.
I'll second that.
Moved by trustee Perella, seconded by trustee Sheridan. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries 7+1.
All right, keep wearing your mask so those numbers keep going down. Keep doing it. So, thank you.
Dr.